Hello, I'm Ed.
And I'm Martha.
Welcome to the Faith in Kids Bake-Along. Have you been counting down the sleeps until this moment? I have. I am totally ready. Pumped. Martha, we have a completely clear bench. I don't believe we are ready. What do we need to do first?
So, first up, we need to wash our hands, make sure they are super clean before we get going.
I've done that.
Excellent start. So secondly, you need to find yourself an apron or some clothes that you don't mind getting a little bit messy for the baking.
I'm totally ready. This jumper is made to get messy. You won't see any of the stains.
Excellent. And finally, we are going to preheat our oven to 180 degrees fan, 200 degrees electric or gas mark 6. And the reason we preheat the oven is so that when we come to do our baking, it's perfectly hot and ready to make them nice and crispy.
Now, you have already made us some nice and crispy gingerbread people. Martha, who have you made?
I have indeed. So we have got our wonderful Mary and of course a Joseph to go with her.
If we don't want to make them green and blue, is that okay?
Absolutely. You can do these any colour you fancy and you can throw on any decorations you like as well.
Mine are not going to look anything like that, and I'm so excited. This is Mary and Joseph. They were due to get married that first Christmas. The beautiful, happy couple. Hello, Mary. Hello, Joseph. Okay, I know. We read in the Bible, this is how the birth of Jesus the Messiah happened. So we're going to find out how Jesus makes Christmas so special. We are going to bake the story together, finding it out. So Martha, what do we need to do to make them?
So the first things that we're going to need is our equipment. So you are going to need a mixing bowl, a wooden spoon and some baking trays. So let's get those out.
Okay, a mixing bowl.
A big mixing bowl.
Yes, I've got my trays. Okay.
You want a baking tray lined with baking parchment and you might need a couple of these. I mean, that's not a wooden spoon.
No.
That's not going to make delicious cakes.
Here we go, there, perfect.
This is what we need. So we've got a mixing bowl, a wooden spoon and a baking tray. So we're almost ready to get going.
Great.
The final thing we're going to need is a saucepan to melt our ingredients. So grab yourself one of those as well.
Nothing beats the colander
I like
for
that.
headwear.
It's like a space explorer.
It is. Do you still put things on your head, or are you past that point?
Probably only a chef's hat these days.
Okay,
but...
excellent.
So we've got all of our equipment now, so the next thing we're going to need is our ingredients, of course.
Right.
So let's grab those. We've got our ingredients helpfully prepared into different bags. So the first thing we are going to do is take bag 2, which has our sugar in it, and empty that into the saucepan.
All of it?
All of it. We want it all to go in.
Can we put our fingers in the sugar yet?
I mean, baking isn't baking without a little bit of tasting as you go.
Right.
So you can reuse these bags later as well. And then we want to add in our butter.
Right. Okay.
Take that from its bag, unwrap it and pop that into the saucepan as well. Now the last thing to go into our saucepan is golden syrup. Sticky and delicious. So we want to drizzle this into the pan.
Really?
I feel like I thought you were going to drizzle that into your mouth, Ed.
Almost.
So the syrup goes in.
The higher you go, the harder it is to hit the target.
Oh, so
Right, hang on, spoon. Okay, now, how do you get it all out, and does it matter if you don't?
get most of it out, but I won't tell anyone if you lick the bowl at the end.
Run your finger. Okay, so you've got to get as much as you can before you're allowed to run your finger around the inside. Okay? Oh no. Okay. Spoon can just go in, presumably.
You can go back into your mouth, then back into your little pot to
Great.
stop everything getting sticky.
Great.
So now I'm going to take my saucepan over to the hob and heat it, stirring until it's nice and smooth.
Right.
So Success.
How hot does it need to be, Martha?
You want it on a medium heat, Ed.
Medium heat.
Yeah,
Medium
so
heat.
just play with it until it's medium.
Got it, I'm on medium.
We don't want any burning going on, do we?
No. Martha, did you used to do this as a child?
I used to love baking when I was a child. I started baking, I think, when I was about 8 years old.
Right.
Trying different recipes in the kitchen. I had my favourite recipe book, which was Roald Dahl's Revolting Recipes.
And were your parents in the house while this was happening?
Yes, I wouldn't recommend baking without your parents in the house. And they were always around. They would taste the things I'd made and they'd always go, this is so delicious, even when it definitely wasn't.
Any accidents?
There were plenty of accidents, but you learn through making mistakes. My favourite thing to make used to be something called rock cakes, which are a bit like a scone, but you use your hands to make them look a bit more rocky.
Okay.
And they're quite chewy and tough, and I'd often dry them out quite a lot, but my parents would always nibble them and say, these are really delicious.
So what's happening to yours?
So it should just be melting nice and slowly.
Okay, so my block of butter is still there.
Yeah, the butter takes a little bit of time to melt.
But the sugar and the treacle are mixing together.
The sugar and the syrup should be mixing, really well.
I see, okay. Now, in this recipe, I've noticed we have cinnamon and ginger.
We do, gives it nice spice.
Now, do either of those taste nice?
They taste delicious with other things, but on their own, probably a little bit strong. You won't be left with a nice taste in your mouth.
Okay,
Ed.
I'm gonna try cinnamon, okay?
It's gonna really dry your mouth
It
out.
sticks to the top of your mouth.
What does it taste like?
I guess buns. It tastes like buns, so that one's okay.
Would you recommend anyone trying this at home?
I'm not convinced. That one just leaves your mouth very dry. What about, what's this one?
Oh,
Ginger.
Spicy. Ginger is quite spicy.
Okay, and I can try it, can I?
Yes, you can.
Okay. That's much worse. That one is really hot. I can feel it in my nose.
Spicy. Get rid of a cold if you're feeling a little bit ill.
I don't think you need to try either of those at home. No, that one's actually awful. Okay.
I promise you that they will taste great in the gingerbread dough.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
So mine is completely melted now. You can see it's nice and runny. Yeah. And then once it's nice and smooth like this, you want to turn off your heat.
Yep.
And then just leave it to cool down for a couple of minutes.
Okay.
So we're going to leave this mixture to cool slightly whilst we get on with the rest of our ingredients. So now you need to take your bag 1, and this has in it flour, bicarbonate of soda, and the ginger and cinnamon. So empty that into a big bowl. Should smell nice and spicy.
And it's all mixed up, so it's all in there, is it? Even if you can't see it?
It's all being mixed up together, but if you're doing it one at a time, make
Right.
sure you give it a proper mix at this point as well. So next thing we're going to add in is an egg. So we need 1 egg.
Now, Martha, normally most of the shell goes in mine.
We don't want any of that today.
How do you always get it right?
Not always, but
Right.
I try my best. And my special top tip is hold it so you've got the top and the bottom in your hand. Tap it gently on the side of a bowl.
Right.
And then you want to take both of your thumbs and pull apart like this.
So you don't stick your thumbs in it.
Don't push them in too hard,
Right, how many
otherwise
taps?
you'll get
4?
shell. A
1,
couple.
2, 3, 4. Fingers on the edge. Crack.
Perfect.
Yay! Honestly, that's the best one I've ever done.
That was
You learn
amazing.
here how Martha breaks an egg. Thank you, Martha.
So we've got our egg in the bowl, and now we're going to add our syrup, which is slightly cooled.
Right.
So bring that over from the hob, and then we're going to pour this in.
Over the egg, over
Just
everything?
next to the egg.
Next to the egg. Otherwise you could fry an
We
egg.
don't want a fried egg in our
Right.
gingerbread.
Okay, next to the egg. Woohoo! This is the fun stuff.
And use that spoon to scrape every last little bit
Brilliant. I still can't stick my finger in it.
It's still very hot,
Okay, no
but
fingers.
your time will come.
Thank you.
So once you have got all of that mixture out of the bowl, we are going to stir this together. So you want to pierce the yolk of that egg, break it up, and then really get your arms working and start to mix it all together until you get a good, soft dough. How's yours looking, Ed?
Great.
It smells delicious.
No, it's still very floury.
It is, but it will gradually work in. So just keep going and it will get harder and harder to stir as it gets into a dough.
Everything in me wants to stick my fingers in. You're sticking with a wooden spoon though, you don't do this with your hands.
I think if you did this with your hands, it'd be a little bit messy.
Okay, so it's very sticky.
And you'd smell like gingerbread for days.
Okay. So with bread, you stick your fingers in though?
With bread, yes, you do, because you do something called kneading, which is making it really elastic, but we don't really want our biscuits to be stretchy and chewy.
Okay, so I'm just mixing.
So we're just gonna mix.
I've got it, look at that.
Hey, look at that, that looks wonderful.
I'm pleased with that.
So stir it all together.
Right.
Until you've got a nice thick dough, like this. No floury patches in your bowl. And then, as you can see, the dough's still a little bit soft, isn't it?
Martha, is this the recipe where when you turn the bowl upside down and put it over your head, it stays in the bowl?
No, definitely not. That is a meringue, and this would definitely fall all on your hair.
Oh.
So don't do that. So, our mixture is nice and stiff and well mixed, so we're gonna cover it with some cling film or a big plate if you've got one, and then put it into the freezer. We're gonna use the freezer to be super quick, but you could use the fridge for about half an hour. Here we go.
Right.
So you just wanna press your
You've
cling
left
film.
a spoon in.
I have actually, haven't I?
Crazy talk, okay. The spoon can stay in.
The spoon can stay, it will
and
help
then
you
you
to
stick
stir.
it down over the dough.
Press it right over the dough so that it doesn't get dry.
Oh, okay.
And then these are gonna go into the freezer.
Great. If there's no room in your freezer and it's full of frozen vegetables, can you throw away the broccoli?
I reckon so.
We also have all the ingredients we need for the first Christmas story. We have a Mary.
And we have a Joseph.
Except we don't have the right Mary. Because although they were just teenagers about to get married, Mary found out she was pregnant. Surprised face. So, she goes to Joseph and she says, Joseph, it's a big surprise, I'm pregnant.
Ed, I think I should do Mary's voice.
That's a very good idea. Yes?
All right then. Joseph, big surprise, I'm pregnant.
Mary's pregnant, I'm not the dad, and if I'm not the dad, who is? Angry face. But Mary has had the angel Gabriel visit to explain exactly what's going on.
Joseph, the baby is from God. It's actually the Son of God. We are to call him Jesus, which means God with us. I know how this sounds.
Do you really?
Yes, the angel came and I trust God. I'm all right with this.
You're all right with this? This doesn't make any sense at all. Joseph was a good guy. He wanted to step out the kitchen quietly. He would tiptoe away. He wouldn't make a fuss. He didn't want the whole world to know, even though the town would find out about Mary. So what's going to happen? If Mary and Joseph don't get together, will the first Christmas even happen? Will any Christmas happen? Will we get to celebrate Christmas this year? We need to keep listening.
Okay, so now we are ready to roll out our gingerbread mixture. So the first thing we need to do is to sprinkle our work surfaces with flour. Now this is going to make sure that none of that dough gets stuck on your table because it will be hard to bake if it's stuck on there. So just take a little pinch and make it snow. Wonderful. And you can always add a little bit more later if it's getting stuck. So once you have dusted out a nice big area, we are going to turn our chilled dough out onto it. So take your bowl. I left the spoon in so it's a bit easier to scoop out. But your dough should be nice and firm now. So place it onto your worktop.
And we still can't use our fingers.
You can use your hands now. As long as they're clean, that is absolutely allowed. Get your hands in there. We don't want to leave any dough behind. And I also can tell you that this dough tastes very nice.
Oh, let me try. That is so much better than raw ginger.
sometimes I think the dough tastes even nicer than the finished biscuit, so I eat rather a lot of it.
That is yummy.
So once you've made a big pile of your dough, we are going to press it down with our hands and then sprinkle a little bit more flour on the top, because we don't want our rolling pin to stick either.
Great.
And then you want to take a rolling pin.
Right.
And we're going to roll our dough out until it's about as thick as a £1 coin.
Okay, I've got that. I've got that.
You got one in your pocket?
I've got a £1 coin. I'm totally ready. Okay.
So roll it, and then you want to keep picking up your dough occasionally just to make sure it's not sticking. And if it feels sticky, put a bit more flour underneath. So just give it a test. And it should roll out really nicely and look very smooth. If you haven't got a rolling pin, you can use something like a bottle for olive oil or something like that. Even a wine bottle works well for things like this. So make sure it's not sticking, and if it is, just take a bit more flour and put it underneath. And it doesn't matter if you get little cracks, because you can re-roll as many times as you like.
And if it breaks, Martha, making a terrible mess,
It
it's
doesn't
okay.
matter. It's okay, because you can keep re-rolling it.
Okay.
If you're finding it hard to do the whole thing, you can do a little bit at a time.
Okay.
So, my dough is almost all the way rolled out. So now, I'm going to take a cutter. So, I have got a gingerbread person cutter,
Right.
just like this. Have you got one?
I've got mine.
Perfect. So we've both got a gingerbread cutter. If you don't have a cutter, you can print out a stencil of a gingerbread man and then just use a knife to carefully cut it out. But we're going to be using cutters today. So once you're happy that your dough is an even thickness all over, if it's a bit lumpy bumpy, some of your biscuits won't bake quite as well as you might like. So we're going to take our cutter and then press down. Give it a little bit of a wiggle to make sure it goes in.
This is one of the best bits, isn't it?
And then sometimes it comes up with the cutter, and then you just want to take your little gingerbread man and you can put him on the tray.
And cutters often come like one way round, so if you press it the wrong way round, you end up cutting your hand out.
You want to be careful. Another good way, if you're finding it's hurting your hand, is to use your rolling pin just to roll over the cutter, and then you won't get a sore hand if you're making a lot.
Nice, you heard it here first.
So we'll place them onto a cutter, and we should get lots and lots of gingerbread men, or you could use a star cutter and make some stars for a starry sky, or do any shape you like, really.
What did you think of church when you were growing up?
I really enjoyed church growing up. I think there were some weeks where I thought, I don't really want to get up early,
Yeah.
but as soon as I'd get there, I'd see all of my friends,
Yeah.
and I would learn such important truths that have really helped me for the rest of my life.
Do you have a favourite Christmas song? Are there things you like to listen to while you bake?
Oh, I put the Christmas music on as early in December as I can.
And do you still go to church now at Christmas? Is that still a tradition?
I do, yeah. It's part of the day for me. It's something that I would really miss if I didn't get to do that. And I just love the opportunity to celebrate with more people than are just in my house on Christmas Day.
Just before Joseph leaves, he decides to sleep on it. It's a good principle for life. Don't make big decisions at night. Have a sleep first. That's what Joseph did. Down he lies, just on the edge of the land of Nod. Suddenly, up pops an angel.
Joseph, do not be afraid.
Now, can we do a better accent, Martha? Give us another one.
I can try.
Go on.
What accent would you like?
Can you do Southwest?
I will do my very best.
Go.
Right. Joseph, do not be afraid to take Mary as your wife, for the child that is within her is from the Holy Spirit.
Now, that is a pregnancy to
It
be
is.
proud of. The Holy Spirit is God, okay? Off we go. What did the angel say then, Martha?
She will give birth to a son, and they will call him Emmanuel, which means God with us.
The angel is saying that this baby in Mary's tummy is God with us, as well as just being an ordinary person, just like you and I, made from the same stuff, cut out in exactly the same way. We are still celebrating Christmas all these years later because God became one of us. Jesus Christ is God with us, so weak, so fragile, so easily broken, laid in a manger, struggling a long way from home, never as anyone would choose it to be. That is the Christmas story. Jesus is God with us. God isn't far away off in heaven, so distant. He is with us. That's the story of Christmas. God entered into our world, just like we have got stuck in, getting messy, cutting out, mixing. God got stuck in.
So you want to arrange your gingerbread people on a baking tray, leaving enough space in between each one for them to spread out. So now we're ready to bake. We're going to pop these into the oven for 10 to 12 minutes until they're lovely and golden brown.
They're in the oven, they're cooking, 10 to 12 minutes. Can we try decorating? Where did they come from, Martha?
Absolutely, so here are some that I whipped up earlier because I thought we would love to show you how to decorate them to be exactly like the nativity scene.
This is another best bits. It's a series of best bits. Right, Martha, how do we get going? What do we need to make icing?
So first of all, you'll need some icing sugar.
Yes.
A little bit of water.
Yes.
And then any food colourings that you like to make these lovely and colourful.
Honestly, just icing sugar and water.
Absolutely.
It's lovely.
How does it taste?
It's great. Okay, and we can use any colours we like.
Any colours you like. All you need to do is take your icing sugar and add enough water to make a thick paste. If it's a bit too runny, add a bit more icing sugar.
Okay.
If it's a bit too thick, add a bit more water.
Perfect.
It's a bit like a science experiment, this. You've got to keep going.
I can do this. I get a spoon.
Get yourself a spoon, Ed,
Great.
and mix it up. And then when you're ready, you should have icing, and you can spoon it into a piping bag like I have.
Right.
And you'll be ready to decorate.
Great.
I've done a blue one, a green one, and a yellow one as well.
Okay.
Wonderful.
Show us how to do it, Martha.
So what should we do first?
Okay, can
a
I
Mary?
do great, I'll do a Mary. I'm going to use yellow.
Lovely.
Great.
Right. So what I'm going to do first is I'm just going to pipe using my bag. So I've cut the end off using scissors so that it has a little hole in it.
Right.
So that I'm able to decorate. So I'm going to give her a kind of a white dress and a blue cape, I reckon.
Right.
It's a cape. It's kind of, they wore different clothes back in the Bible times, didn't they? So I'm not putting her in a pair of jeans.
Okay.
And then, as you might have spotted earlier in the video, we used a marshmallow to make Mary pregnant.
Perfect.
So I reckon I'm going to do that as well. So what you want to do, pipe a little bit of icing onto your Mary. I always do the outline first and then fill in the middle bit afterwards so that you get really good shapes if you're into your artwork. So fill that in.
And if you don't have one of these icing bags, can you just spoon it in instead?
You can indeed, of course. You can just use a knife or a spoon to drizzle it on. It doesn't matter if it's not perfect. So I'm going to put my pregnant Mary's belly right in the middle there. And then I'm going to use the blue icing to make the rest of her clothes. Hey Ed, that's looking really good.
I'm very pleased. So, Martha, as a child, did you hear this Christmas story growing up?
I did. I remember doing it at school, and in the nativity I always wanted to be Mary.
Okay.
But I was always an angel instead.
And this incredible idea that God became a baby, did you believe that as a child, do you think? Do you remember when it made some sense?
I think for me, when I was about 8 or 9, I decided to become a Christian, which means I decided that I believed that all of this stuff was true, that I was hearing about Jesus and about Mary and Joseph. So I think for me, that's when it really became real. But I took some time to think about the story and ask the questions that I needed to ask.
And is there one time you can remember when it mattered that you believed God is with us?
Yeah, I can think of loads of times in my life, but I think one particular time is I used to be really scared of the dark when I was a child. I wonder if anyone else feels the same way. And knowing that Jesus, when you say you become a Christian, is with you all the time, even when you're scared, even when you're lonely, was so special to me. And knowing that he doesn't stay a little tiny baby, but he grows up and he becomes a man who is with you all the time, was incredible.
Absolutely terrific. Now, I am nervous. Yours is looking great. I'm starting to see how yours is looking a lot more like Mary than mine.
Oh, I like that. I like the stars.
How do you do the face, Martha?
So the face is the trickiest bit. You can get these really good little icing pens in some supermarkets so you can draw on your face.
Great.
But if you're using a piping bag, you just want to be really quick and do little dots.
Okay.
So I'm going to do a bit of hair, kind of one of those... some hair or one of those, it's not a blanket, is it like a tea towel?
Tea towel.
And then I'm just going to do some little dots for my eyes. Or you could use sprinkles if you wanted to.
Right.
So I'm going to do dot, dot.
Great.
And then we need a little smile as well, don't we?
Little smile.
Wonderful. And then I like to use another colour to just give a little headband across the top.
Oh, Martha, that is terrific. I'm in with that. Okay, round we go.
Wonderful, that looks really good.
And a headband.
Yeah.
Like she's out jogging with a different colour. I see, so you're doing the same colour as what you did earlier. Perfect,
So,
I got that.
We've got a little Mary going on there. What should we do next? Maybe an angel?
Great, show us an angel.
Alrighty. So for my angel, I've got something special up my sleeve. And that is a little bit of glittery dust, gold dust, to make them lovely and sparkly. So let's have a go. Start off with a nice halo across the top.
As an adult, Martha, do you still need to know that God is with us? Or do you think as you get older, you're scared less so it doesn't matter as much?
Oh, absolutely not. I'm still scared. Even as a grown-up, there are things in life that are hard and times where you feel worried or nervous, and I find that my faith really helps me in those moments to have a good perspective and to know what's really important in life.
God is still with us, even as we make angels.
Absolutely. How are we gonna...
Mine looks a bit more like an alien, but you keep going. I've got the eyes.
The green angel. Right, so next some wings. So I'm gonna use the arms.
Right.
So instead of arms, be angel wings.
Great.
And make them a little bit frilly and fun.
Great. I'm gonna try and do that by dribbling icing.
Go for it.
To convince myself it's possible with a spoon. Okay?
And then a little skirt, and they're going to be singing some Christmas tunes. Wonderful. This is the fun part.
It really is, even when it's a mess.
Absolutely. And sometimes they will look messy, sometimes they might not look accurate, but I promise that they will taste delicious. So here are my finished gingerbread men. I've got my Joseph, a pregnant Mary, and a sparkling angel.
And I've got a pregnant Mary whose clothes aren't as neat, and I have an angel who could be an alien, and I'm incredibly pleased with what I did.
You should be so proud. They look great.
And it doesn't wonky mean it's personal.
It means it will taste the best.
Martha, thank you so much for celebrating mine when they do look very different to yours.
So we've baked, we've joined in, we've got stuck in, and we've made a mess. You didn't just watch, but you joined in, and it's been so much fun.
I wonder if your kitchen now looks like our kitchen. Do you know, towards the end, there were bits everywhere, and there was flour all over our work surfaces. That was fun, wasn't it? Scattering it in. That's the mess we made. We got involved. And that's also the story of Christmas. We have seen that together. Christmas is the story that Jesus gets into the mess. He is in there, God with us. He didn't stay distant, he is there. And it's the same with Joseph. We saw that he was just set to walk away. He didn't want to get stuck in until God explained to him exactly what the plan was, who this baby was. So Joseph came back. He wanted to get stuck in. He wanted to join in. He wanted to be part of the mess. And that is what we have seen, that Christmas is how Jesus came to be part of that messy family. The family didn't quite know how it was going to work out. Trusting Jesus today means being like Joseph. It means that in our families, we realise that we are in just that mess like Joseph was. We want to get stuck in. We want to be part of it. We're happy for our mess, the bits we don't understand to be in there. So when we go to school in tears, it means remembering God is with us. When we can't see someone we love, it means we can say to ourselves, God is with us. It means when Christmas isn't how we remember it, it isn't as good as it used to be, we get to pray, God is with us. He is never socially distanced. He is always right there in our bubble. We have done it! What a great time we have had! I hope you love icing your biscuits. We would love to see some pictures. We'd love to know how you've got on. Look on social media where we will share those pictures. If someone gave you the bags to bake today, will you talk to them about what you've learned, what you've heard? Will you ask them questions? When do you know God is with us?
And why not use your iced gingerbread people to tell the story to someone who maybe doesn't know what it means that God is with us? It's a challenge, but I know you can do it.
Thank you very much, Martha, for teaching us how to make gingerbread people. And whatever ours look like, they are all unique, just like you. Happy Christmas.
Happy Christmas!
Bye-bye.